For a brief moment in history, humans built a machine that outran the schedules of the sun. You could leave Paris in the morning, watch the sky turn gold above the Atlantic, and land in New York in time for lunch. That machine was called Concorde. It was more than an airplane. It was a symbol that the future had already arrived. And yet, today, decades later, your modern jet is slower than what people flew in the 1970s. So, what went wrong? And why is NASA, along with a wave of new companies, betting that supersonic flight is about to make a comeback? 1. Concorde, a beautiful, noisy miracle. Flying on Concorde wasn't just traveling, it was joining a very small club. You cruised at twice the speed of sound, Mach 2. You saw the curvature of the Earth out the window. You sipped champagne while your plane outran the rotation of the planet below. But Concorde had enemies. Some were economic, others were physical. Every time Concorde punched through the sound barrier, it created a violent shockwave in the air. On the ground, people didn't just hear it, they felt it. Windows rattling, pets panicking, a sudden boom that sounded like an explosion in the distance. That was the sonic boom. And regulators in the United States and Europe basically said, supersonic, fine, but not over land. That decision locked Concorde into a tiny set of ocean crossing routes. Then came the perfect storm. A tragic crash in 2000, rising fuel prices, and the collapse in air travel after September 11th. Concorde was retired in 2003. Since then, passenger jets have been fast, but never that fast again. It felt like the future had been canceled. 2. The real problem isn't speed, it's noise. Here's the twist. Engineering a plane that flies faster than sound is hard, but it's a solved problem. The real boss fight is this. Can you break the sound barrier without sounding like a bomb going off? When an aircraft goes supersonic, pressure waves build up in front of it. Those waves roll off the plane, travel to the ground, and hit people as a sudden, explosive boom. As long as that boom is brutal, supersonic flight will stay banned over most populated areas. It'll be limited to oceans, deserts, and restricted corridors. So, the new race isn't simply go faster, it's turn that boom into a soft thump. If we can do that, we don't just revive Concorde. We unlock coast-to-coast overland supersonic travel for the first time in history. 3. NASA's X-94, the plane that wants to redesign the rules. Enter NASA's most unusual aircraft, the X-59. It doesn't look like your typical passenger jet. It's long, skinny, with a needle-like nose and carefully sculpted wings. The X-59 isn't built to carry people. It's built to carry an argument. Engineers have shaped it so that the shock waves it produces never merge into a single violent boom. Instead, they're spread out, softened, so that people on the ground should hear something closer to a gentle thump, roughly as loud as closing a car door. NASA's plan is to fly the X-59 over real communities and then literally ask people what they heard. Was it loud? Was it annoying? Would you be okay with hearing this a few times a day? With that data, NASA hopes to go back to regulators and say, look, the world has changed. We can do supersonic differently now. It's time to update the rules. If they succeed, the X-59 will be remembered as the key that unlocked an entire generation of commercial supersonic aircraft. Not the plane that carried passengers, but the one that carried permission. 4. The new race. Fast, quiet, and cleaner. Of course, where regulation moves, business follows. Companies like Boom Supersonic are developing airliners such as Overture, aiming for speeds around Mach 1.7 and transatlantic flights in under 4 hours. Other startups are targeting smaller business jets, designed for ultra-fast corporate or government travel. But this time, the rules of the game are tougher. Supersonic jets must be quieter. They need to be far more fuel efficient than Concorde ever was. And in a warming world, their climate impact will be heavily scrutinized. That's why you hear so much about sustainable aviation fuel, lighter composite materials, and aerodynamic designs optimized by supercomputers. The goal isn't to copy Concorde. It's to beat it on every metric: noise, cost, emissions, and accessibility. Because the point of the 21st century supersonic age isn't just to go fast. It's to prove that you can go fast without making the planet or everyone's eardrums pay the price. 5. Why speed still matters in a world of instant messages. You might ask, who cares about shaving a few hours off a flight when we already have video calls? But physical speed still changes what's possible. Cutting a long-haul flight in half could mean emergency teams reaching disasters hours earlier, scientists collaborating more often face-to-face, families split across continents visiting each other more easily. A world where doing business globally feels less like an exhausting marathon and more like a long commute. Concorde was a brilliant prototype, but it was loud, fuel-hungry, and reserved for the ultra-rich. Now with the X-59 and its successors, we have a chance to write a second draft of supersonic travel. Faster, quieter, cleaner, and, eventually, available to more people. The real question isn't just, can we bring back supersonic jets? It's, can we design a future where speed brings us closer without tearing the sky or the climate apart? If we get it right, the map of the world will look the same, but it will feel completely different. Smaller, more connected, as if the oceans had silently shrunk. Because the next era of supersonic flight isn't only about beating the clock, it's about erasing distance in a way that respects the world beneath our wings. When the successors of Concorde and the X-59 start stitching continents together in just a few hours, we'll know that humanity didn't just outrun the sound barrier. We learned to live with it, shape it, and turn raw speed into something deeper. A faster, quieter, more connected planet. This is Xpress Curiosity. Thanks for flying with us into the future.